to save time when y'all come in and talk to me about your test, I'm going to just show y'all how the bonuses worked on here because otherwise, that'll make our meetings a lot longer. Hang on, I lost my coffee cup. There it is. Also, hopefully you're listening to this because you're doing what you're supposed to be doing today. I will do this at any time, like make a video of teaching a topic anytime you need to go over it again. What I'm not willing to do is to do this for every single page of our notes if no one's ever going to look at them. Like I just can't. So if you ever would, you're like, oh, that didn't make sense, I need to hear that again. Just if you'll send me a message on either Student Square or Schoology and tell me what pages out of the notes that you'd like an explanation so that you can watch it again. And the thing about that is you can watch it as many times as you want. You can slow it down. You can figure out exactly what part of it you don't understand, and you can come see me and ask me questions on that. But yeah, I'm just not going to do that if no one's ever going to look at it because that's crazy. So you just let me know if you ever want me to do this for you, and don't wait until the night before the test to do it because the chances of it happening then are pretty slim. You could ask me any time along the way though, and I will be more than happy to get this done. So first, let's do this. Okay, I'm just going to work this problem out. This was the first bonus. Okay, this had nothing to do with the question. Just making sure everybody, if this had been a question, that you would have gotten it right. So I'm distributing the -4. -8y and 11y, that's 3y. I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides. That'll leave 3 over here. I'm going to divide both sides by 3, and that gives me this. Okay. The thing about this is that has absolutely nothing to do with working this problem out. Absolutely nothing. You could care less, and I saw way too many people on the bonus. Like you worked it and said, well, this is what the answer should be. This is what I should have gotten. So all these lines are wrong. That is not what this question asked for. Okay? So number one, y'all got to start reading the directions. Like the people who worked this who didn't just follow like the main direction of this, circle the errors over here on the right. Then explain what that person did incorrectly. Okay? Like very few people actually circled theirs. So there cannot be an error on that first line. That first line is just the inequality itself. Okay, but you're like working your way through it. Right there, that should have given you -8y. Did it? It did. Okay, -4 times -3 should have given you +12. Ooh, it did not. That's an error. Okay, plus 11y, they copied that correctly. They kept their inequality the same direction, 15. So was there an error on step 1? Yes. So, I mean, you could just say something like, you could explain the error. This would be like they didn't distribute correctly. They said that -4 times -3 was -12. You could also just say -12 should be adding 12. Like that would have worked just fine. All right, now here's the part that I don't think many people understand, and we've got to get to where we understand this. This is the same way I grade your papers. Once you make a mistake, nobody cares what that first line was. It doesn't matter anymore because this is what I'm working with. Like whatever you have written on step 1, that's going to determine what's on step 2. It does not matter what it was supposed to be had they worked the problem correctly to begin with. You could care less. All right, so with that being said, let's see if we got from step 1 to step 2 correctly. All right, so they left the 15. They left this the same direction. All right, -8y plus 11y, that's +3y. That's a mistake. But they didn't mess up the -12 because it was supposed to be -12. Like, see, the only things you're circling are the errors. Like, on step 2, you could say it should be +3y. But again, to get to step 3, nobody cares what step 1 said. You're looking at just what's written on step 2. And with what's written on step 2, did they work correctly to get to step 3? Now, a lot of you wrote me especially like, well, what they did doesn't make any sense. It makes perfect sense. They just showed it in a way that we don't usually show it. Okay, so I'm going to highlight what they started with. Okay, there it is. That's the same inequality. Did they do the same thing to both sides? Did they either add, subtract, multiply, or divide the same thing on both sides? Heck yeah, they added 12 to both sides, which is what you would have done. It's just most of the time we don't, well, hardly ever would we write this down. But it doesn't mean it's not there. They just wrote down the fact that they're adding 12 to both sides. That is not a mistake. So I'm not going to circle anything. And then once they added 12 to both sides, the left side was negative 3y. The right side is 27. They got that right. That's not a mistake. They divided both sides by that negative 3. And because they're dividing both sides by negative, I don't need to circle it because it's only supposed to circle the errors. They turn their inequality. That just left a y over here. 27 divided by negative 3 is negative 9. No mistakes there. There were 2 mistakes in this problem. And, because I marked through that first one. And that's all you should have done. And they call this error analysis. But the big thing you got to get used to is the fact that nobody cares what it should have looked like. You can't tell me there's a mistake on every line just because it should have ended up being this. No, there's not a mistake on every line. Each line determines what the next line should be. So that's all that matters. You're just looking line to line. Like, once you got past here, you quit looking at it. Once you got past here, you quit looking at it. Like, nothing matters before. Okay? All right. So, and while I'm talking about it, that is big on the ACAP. They like error analysis questions. So this one, the biggest mistake people made was they just tried to do the shortcut but here's why you can't do the shortcut. Like, let's say you take the middle out. I have no idea if 10x plus 7 is less than 9 minus 3s. I have absolutely no idea because I don't know what x is. So this is not one that you can do in any sort of quick way. What you have to do is break it up into an and. Like, there's 2 things going on here. That this is true, and at the same time, this is true. Okay, now let me just show you. Let me find it. Where was it? Right here. We could do a shortcut on this one, because if I just take this middle part out and look at what's left, is 100 less than or equal to 500? It sure is. So can these numbers right here, whatever they represent, I don't know what numbers they are because I don't know what x is, but can those numbers sit between 100 and 500? Absolutely. This is when you can do the shortcut. You do not have to break it up to an implied and. Now you can, like if you want to do that, like you could say that 100 is less than or equal to 10 plus 8x, and at the same time, 10 plus 8x is less than or equal to 500. And then you could work that out and figure it out. But you have to, if you do that, you have to write the word and. Like, there's no way of getting around that. But this one, we can just subtract 10 from all 3 parts. So we can get to 90 is less than or equal to 8x, which is less than or equal to 490. And then we'll just take and we'll divide all 3 parts by that 8, which personally I would not actually write that down. Y'all know I wouldn't. But some of y'all like it, so I'm going to do it. 490 divided by 8, let's see, what is that? I did a fraction. I did 245 over 4, but most of y'all went to a decimal, which is fine. Over here, 90 divided by 8 is 11 1/4. So here's my solutions. The numbers that solve this inequality are any numbers between 11 1/4 and 61 1/4 inclusively, so which means it just includes each end. So from the following, select the values that are solutions to this compound inequality. So basically they're just saying what all numbers are in between those 2 numbers. Okay, definitely not a negative number. 12 is, because it's bigger than 11 1/4. 50 is between there. 61 is between there. 62 is bigger than 61 1/4, and 75 is bigger. So it was just those 3. But the only reason I'm coming back to this is because I need you to see when you can do the shortcut and when you can't. Like, if you know that this is possible, have at the shortcut. We don't know that this is possible because we don't know what x is. So there is no shortcut. We have to actually follow this through. So I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides. I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. I'm going to divide both sides by 6. And then I'll just reduce that fraction. So x is less than or equal to negative 2/3. We got that part on there. Over here, let's add 3x to both sides. Let's subtract 3 from both sides. All right, so here's where we've gotten to. That x is less than or equal to negative 2/3, and at the same time, you got to put that word in there, x is less than 6/7. So if I'm trying to figure out what numbers those are, okay, so say here's 1, here's negative 1. Negative 2/3 is going to run you about right here. 6/7 is going to be about right here. So less than or equal to this, less than that. I need both of these things to be true at the same time. There's the overlap. So it's just the numbers that are less than or equal to negative 2/3. Now they came in here. It says give your solution in 3 different forms. Put it on a number line. So it's just these numbers. All right, and like you've got to shade thick enough that I can tell you're shading. You've got to shade the arrow, or I don't know, do you want me to keep going? There has to be something right here. There's got to be an open circle or a closed circle. You can't just start and stop. And some of y'all are bound determined to shade above the line. Just quit. No, you've never seen me do that. It's because I don't want that. There's a reason, okay? Just give me what I want. All right, as an inequality, what was my variable x? That means my x's are less than or equal to negative 2/3. And in interval notation, I'm running from negative infinity up to negative 2/3, and I'm including the negative 2/3. So down here was just you figure out the correct answer and then write it in the 3 ways possible. All right, so I'm going to, part of what your assignment today is that you have to send me a message on either Schoology or Parent Square, or I guess y'all's a Student Square, that tells me that you watched this video, you watched it the whole way through, and that just tell me, do you understand the bonuses? Do you understand? Just tell me what you thought about it. Tell me if you think you might ask me to do this for you in the future. Just tell me whatever you think about it. And I'm leaving that open-ended because I'm not going to give you just particular questions. You just tell me what you think.